I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby, and today I am speaking with a film animation panel as part of our Meet the Experts series. And as part of that, we have Nick Bruno, the director of Nimona, Kemp Powers, the director of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Aaron Horvath, the director of the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Walt Dohrn, the director of Trolls Band Together. My first question is, and I like asking this of people that work in animation, is what was the first thing that you saw that made you say that I want to work in animation? That's what I want to do. And I want to start with you, Aaron.
uh, I'll give you a cynical answer, and then I'll give you a good
Cover your bases.
Coming out of coming out of high school, I didn't want to do anything academic. I liked drawing. It was like I couldn't stop drawing. It was the one thing that I did from when I was a little kid to this day. And so I thought, I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm not interested in learning anything about life or meeting new people. I just want to draw. So somebody was like, "Hey, listen, my cousin like got hired at DreamWorks or whatever. They're making like 6 figures, man." And I was like, "No way, that's a real thing. You can do that." And this was actually like a tall tale from like the bidding war times between DreamWorks and Disney, like when they first started up and animators were making crazy money. So it wasn't actually like that when I got into the industry, but it was money. The promise of money for drawings is what enticed me into the industry. But my earliest memories of entertainment are all animated, and it was the Looney Tunes shorts and the Merry Melody shorts, if I'm remembering that right, from Disney. And I love them both for their own reasons. Like the Disney cartoons were like, they were so tight and beautifully animated and had like such a really strong like emotional core. And then the Warner Brothers cartoons were so funny and so like idiosyncratic. Like you always knew that, even at the time I didn't understand what a director was or any of that stuff, but I knew that like I could tell the difference between a Chuck Jones cartoon and like a Tex Avery cartoon. Like everybody had their own stamp and their own sense of humor, and they were so wild and funny. So it's just the idea that like, oh, your drawings can entertain people ultimately. Like the money plus the inspiration and the gratification of being able to entertain people by just drawing dumb cartoons. Like it's super satisfying.
And what about you, Cap?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's interesting because I come from the world of theater, and I've always described myself as like a storyteller. The mediums change, but all I'm really trying to do is tell a good story. So I think the animation that drew me in the most, that made me think like, man, I want to try this, is stuff that had writing that really jumped out at me. And I would really have to say it's Pixar's Toy Story. I mean, when it came out, it wasn't just what they were doing with 3D animation. It was honestly from a story standpoint. Like it had been a long time since I remembered as a young man just being like so entertained, feeling like I think I just watched the best movie of the year, period. It was so well written. The characters had such wonderful arcs. And for years after that, especially after subsequent films that I ended up loving, in particular, like Wall-E and Ratatouille and Monsters Inc., I was describing Pixar as like the house of master storytelling. In fact, that was kind of what made me so interested when they inquired. They said they were looking for someone to help them with a new film. I didn't know what it was, but I was just like, oh, yeah, like these are the master storytellers. And of course, that ended up being Soul. But I really got to give the credit to Pixar and Toy Story for the first ones that did something that, like, as a storyteller, I said, man, will I ever get a chance to do something like that?
And what about you, Walt?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Ojai, California, a small town, and we had one revival theater. And I remember going there as early as possible. Like I could walk from downtown even when I was 7 or something. And they always had the Disney revivals. So I remember for sure, definitely Fantasia made a big impact on me. It was so beautiful and wild, and the mix of music and color and design, so artful and psychedelic. And they also right around there showed the Three Caballeros, which is another Disney one that was very psychedelic and wild and weird. So those movies had a huge influence on me. Early on, I'm like, animation is for me.
I had Three Caballeros on Laserdisc. It was a Japanese print
Yes.
of it. Oh my god! It's just like,
Such
wow,
a good
you're just bringing back memories for me.
one.
And what about you, Nick?
I loved everything about animation, Muppets. To pick one, I don't think there was ever one in particular that stood out because I think they were all created such a sense of wonder in me. But it was, I'll say, the day I had the dream was seeing Terminator 2.
Sick.
And I went with my dad, and him and I always bonded over movies and special effects. And it wasn't the movie so much, although we came out of that movie and we could like fist punch anybody and win. But I had this moment where I was like, oh man, that was so awesome. And the special effects and this, that, it's like, I would kill to do that someday. And my dad just said, why not? And my dad was a business guy who didn't know shit about even holding a crayon. But just that simple statement opened up a dream, and I was like, yeah, let's figure it out. And it took forever to figure it out, but we did.
My next question. So I just asked about, the first thing of animation, and now I want to ask about what's your favorite recent piece of animation that you've seen, and I want to start with you, Walt.
Well, it's not just because you guys are here, but really all these films this year was so great, and being able to be on these panels with everyone. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse gave me an incredible feeling. I just couldn't believe it. Blew me away, Kemp and guys. I mean, that was amazing. Mario, because I was such a huge Mario fan. I played at Cal Arts. I think I played Super Mario Kart quite a bit, too much, I'd say.
On which system?
Nintendo 64. That was
okay. All right.
Yes. And then I just saw Nimona recently too. I mean, really, it's just all the films are incredible in their own unique way. It shows what a diverse art form it is. And again, that is not a genre, that it is a tool in which to tell stories in an incredible way.
And how about you, Aaron?
I recently saw Jeff Rose Ninja. You guys are all great too. Let's just get that out of the way.
I already did that one.
But I gotta say it too. But I really like Jeff Rose Ninja Turtles movie. I thought it was so visually like weird and interesting. And just that I'm drawn to that sort of like off kilter, scratchy look, like a lot of my work in the past and like as an animator or in pre-production, I like my storyboard drawings more than the final. I like my rough animation more than the final animation. There's something, and even when I was a kid, I loved the Sword in the Stone, or Jungle Book, like the Xerox Disney movies where there was like a bunch of crap on the lines. I love that, like in a big commercial like Ninja Turtles movie, they had like a really kind of scratchy, like gnarly look. It was super cool. That one is the one that immediately springs to mind.
And how about you, Nick?
Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. That movie was ridiculous for me in all the right ways. I haven't seen anything like it in terms of what it visually looked like, the type of storytelling, the jokes, the improvisation. Like it felt unlike anything I had seen, and it was all animated. And I feel like most people don't even think of it as an animated movie, but that thing touched me and tickled me in all the right ways. I know that sounds weird, but it's true.
And how about you, Kemp?
Yeah, I mean, not counting current, the folks on this panel, I really did enjoy Pete Sohn's Elemental. I thought it was like such a sweet personal story, and I've actually just loved. I mean, hanging out with Pete in Savannah a few weeks ago, he was like a rock star. The number of couples who came out and said it like spoke to their personal experience. I found like it reminded me of like the power of what it is that we do. And just to throw in a second one too, I think it was last year, there was this Richard Linklater film, Apollo 10.5, that I just found like such a nostalgia blast and like so delightful and such like a great little piece of like storytelling and writing. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, man, we can do pretty much like anything with this medium and connect to different not just pleasure centers, but like I'm a bit of a dark fellow. A lot of my favorite animated films would fall in that borderline traumatic thing, like Watership Down. But I just love that animation can like tap into all of that stuff.
This is a hypothetical I want to ask. We are an awards site, and one of the things, we don't get a chance to have walk-up music like baseball players do. But if you get the chance to win something, you can choose what plays when you walk up to that stage. And I'm curious for each of you, what is your personal music that you would want to have playing as you walk up to the stage? And first one I want to ask that to is you, Nick.
Oh man, well, all I could think about is if I was actually a baseball player, because I genuinely wanted to be a baseball player for a long time. And I've got the Magic Stick by 50 Cent. It has nothing to do with animation, but I wanted to be very upset, and yeah.
How about you, Kim?
I guess probably like Luda, like move, bitch, get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. Before you change your mind.
What about you, Aaron?
Who did the milkshake song? Was that
Khalees?
Yeah. That was Kellis, right?
Yeah, Kellis.
I mean, that's just an anthem for anybody, dude. Imagine what you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
The real answer is Peaches, though.
And how about you, Walt?
Send in the clowns. Send in the clown. That's definitely very fitting.
Yeah.
I try to get them to play it here when we screen things, but they're like, "You're gonna bring everyone down."
I love how
I
sad
use
that
it.
is.
Yeah, I'll play it for all of us, guys.
Well, Nick, Kemp, Aaron, and Walt, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best over this season, and we thank you for joining us on this panel today.
Thanks
so
for having
much. Our pleasure. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you all.
You too.